Hello everyone. Today let's take a look on the new features in Revit 2024 and also on the new features from Revit 2023 and its updates, because if you are in your work as we are, that we are updating always on the second version. So we skipped 23 and now we are going from 2022 to 2024. Okay, so first it is a dark theme, as it should be finally. So if you go into your file options, here under the colors, you can see the dark theme, and it looks something like this. It looks a little bit like AutoCAD for me now. And hand in hand with this comes also the changing of the graphics of the icons. So you can see that the icons have been modernized, and when you are used for older icons, sometimes it can be confusing because some of them changed quite a lot. So this was the dark theme. I will change it back to my light one because I prefer that. Okay, so the next thing is to be able to resize rows in schedule that is placed on the sheet. And it is pretty cool because in previous versions, you had your automatic row size, and the only way you could resize it was if you created something like this, that it was small, so it was not fitting, and it had to recalculate the height of the row in the schedule. Now they have added the parameter here, resize rows, where you can see that I can choose only the ones which have image or all of them, and I can go and set my row height, let's say to 10 millimeters, and now you can see that all of the rows have the same height. So if I go with like 8 millimeters, you see it looks like this. I think the next step would be to be able to change the row height only for the one row, but we will see in the future. The next thing is that Revit has new color books, so this is also pretty nice improvement. If I go to my manage materials, and let's go here with the color, you can see that before we had only RGB values or Pantone, and now in my color books I have finally also the RAL ones, and I can load the new color books which I need. So this is a huge improvement for me because I always had to recalculate from RAL values to RGB to be able to use it, because architects usually, in my country at least, they are using the RAL values. So this is a huge improvement for me. Next one is Revit Insights on the Home tab. So if I go to my home here, onto my Insights, this is the new thing, the new tab that they added. Now you can see that I have my statistics here. So this can help you in your work. So you will see and know what most of the time you are doing. So this is pretty nice. Okay, the next thing is the revision cloud schedule. So if I go to my level first or level 1, you can see I have my revision clouds here, and here you can see my revision cloud schedule. So in previous versions you were not able to do that, and now you can see that I was able to create my revision cloud schedule, and I can place it on the sheet and so on and so forth. So this is also nice. The next improvement is that you can place multiple views or schedules on the sheet at the same time. So I can go with my level 1 and let's say my revision cloud schedule and my ceiling plan and place them all at once. You can see that they are automatically being positioned, so I don't have to go like one by one. So this is also really nice. I will delete this. Okay, the next thing is that you can open the sheet directly from the view. Unfortunately, this doesn't work for schedules. So if I go to my schedule and I try to right click, you can see I have no option here. But if I go to my level 2, which is placed on my sheet, and I right click in the canvas, now you can go to open sheet, and it will directly open the sheet the view is placed at. So this is nice. The next thing is that the project parameters are sorted now alphabetically. If I go here under my manage, under my project parameters, you can see I have my 4 parameters here. And in previous versions, they were sorted not alphabetically, but in the order of creation. So if I would create a new parameter here, let's say cube, and let's place it for, I don't know, rooms. Okay. It would be placed here at the end, but now it is sorted alphabetically, so this is nice improvement in the readability of the project parameters. Next thing is to be able to align surface patterns on shape modified elements like a floor. So I have created a floor here which was modified by the shape editing, and you can see that, let's say in this corner, the pattern is not like running smoothly. So they have added the possibility to align this, and you can see that I can align the pattern on the entire surface or only on the selected face. Let's go with the entire surface, and I will want to align this one with the lower one. A few times you have to do it like more times to be able to catch it. And now you can see that my surface pattern is pretty nicely aligned. Okay, the next is new categories that are enabled for cutting. And you can see it here that toposolid, ceiling, floor, slab edge, roof, fascia, gutter, roof soffit, structural foundations, wall sweeps, and mass void forms were now enabled to be cut and to cut with them. And this is basically, most of them are system families, which in previous versions you were not able to cut with the geometry, only with the void forms. I was doing some experimentation with this, and for walls, I was not able to cut it actually with the 3D solid in my family. I had to use again void, but for all of the others, I was able to cut it. So probably they will need to do some enhancements. But this is pretty nice because in previous versions, this, like, at least for me, this was really like, I didn't know why they had it like that. We go smoothly to the toposolid. So this is the major thing. Like for Revit 2024, this is like the biggest thing, the biggest new they put. And me personally, I was waiting for this from the time I started using Revit, and I think everyone which is using Revit was waiting for this for a long time. So if I go to my massing and side, you can see that they actually changed a lot this step. And here now I have a toposolid, which I can create from import as before or create from scratch. And let's go here. I will delete this one. I will create it from scratch. And you can see that I can go and place a structure here. So I can go with my compound structure and use it for the toposolid. And let's go like this. We will go to my 3D view. So now this is a solid. So basically it's almost like a floor. And you can modify it with the shape editing and so on and so forth. So the best thing about this is that you can finally use the cutting tools. And that's why they have made the enhancements for the cutting behavior. And you can finally cut the toposolids and create all of the crazy stuff you need to create. And you do not need to do workarounds. I think that the toposolid is really important, so in future I will create another video only for the toposolids. So I'm not going to talk about this more here now. Okay, the next one is that the floor slab edge can now be placed on the toposolid. So you can see that I can choose edge from the toposolid to be able to create my slab edge on it. But it has some limitations. If I go and I use my subdivision for the toposolids, I cannot place it on this subdivision. And also if I try to, let's say, use this one with the slope, and let's go with the slope 0, let's place it 10 degrees. Okay, and I try to place on this edge, on the sloped edge, my slab edge, you can see that I cannot actually do this. There is one trick, the same as with the floors, and that is that if I go and undo the slope, then create my slab edge, and now if I redo the slope, Now you can see that I was able to create the slab edge on this edge. Okay, they have also added the ability to host floor-based families on toposolid elements and also the face-based families. So basically the toposolid is now behaving more as a floor. The next pretty cool thing is to be able to search in the project browser, and this is this search bar. And what I really liked about this feature is now that if I start to search, you can see that it automatically filters away the things that I do not need. So this is really huge improvement in usability of the project browser. Okay, the next one is the new textures visual style, which I'm not using a lot. Like I do not actually use realistic or textures. I use mostly hidden and consistent colors. So I will not talk about this a lot. Okay, let's go back to hidden lines. And the last thing from the Revit 2024 from the architecture section is that now if I go to my view scope box, they have added the height parameter for the scope boxes, so I can control my height of the scope box directly from the parameter. Okay, and now let's talk about the new things which were from the previous version of Revit 2023. And that is the indication of the view which is placed on the sheet. So here you can see the square. If it is like this, empty or white, that means that this view is not placed on the sheet. And if it is blue, that indicates that this view and this schedule is placed on the sheet. So this is also pretty nice. Next one is better shape editing for the elevation controls. And that means that if I go here, you can see that it actually changed a little bit also graphically. And if I try to add my point, they have added the possibility to see directly the height of the point. And the next thing they have added is the possibility to choose the elevation base. And you can see I have my current level, project base point, survey point, or internal origin. Previously they had only few of the options. Now they have added all of them to be able to do that. Okay, the next thing that comes with the shape editing is that they have added new subcategories. So if I go into my visibility graphics under my floors, you can see that now they have added split lines as a separate category, and they have a new category called folding lines, which are these automatically created lines. So I can go here, I have my split line, I can go and hide it, or I can go and also my folding lines and hide those if I want. So this is also a little bit different than in previous versions. The next amazing thing for me, which happened a lot in my project, is that if I had a room tag like this and it was without a ladder line, I had like a question mark here. So now they have added the ability, so like this, if you do not have the ladder line, if you go outside of the room, it will automatically add the ladder line for you. So it will stay associated. So this is pretty nice. Next amazing thing which I was like waiting for a lot is the measurement directly in 3D, because previously we had to use like the dimensions or model lines to be able to do this. Now I can go directly here and measure in 3D finally. Next super amazing thing is that you can now filter schedule by sheet, and that means that it will only show you the things that are visible on the sheet or in the view that is placed on the sheet. So here you can see I have my wall schedule. This wall schedule actually has 21 walls in it, but here in my setting of the wall schedule, in my filter, you can see that I have applied my filter by sheet condition. So if I go to my sheet, you can see that it actually has only 5 walls showing, and that is because I can see only 5 walls here. If I go and move my crop region, you can see that now it is changing the values. I can see 6, 7, and back to 5. The next cool thing is toggle for active controls, and that means that, let's say I have my walls here and they are pinned, but I cannot actually see that they are pinned. And that is because of these active controls and dimensions activate, or the same is here. And you can see that if I activate them, you can see that all of those are pinned. And they have done this, I think, mostly because of the work shared projects, because when you had a large project and you just selected all of the things and you had these icons for the work sharing, it was just too much and it would slow you down. So now you can deactivate this if you do not need it. The next cool thing, which is also a huge improvement in the usability, is that they have added, or not added, but they have made that the nested families now do not, like, you do not need to activate the dimensions to be able to see the temporary dimensions. So here you can see that I have my nested family door, or nested door family, and I can directly see my temporary dimensions and just like use it. In my previous versions of Revit, if I go here into my Revit 2022, this is the same family, it is a nested family, and now you can see that if I select it, I cannot actually see the temporary dimensions unless and until I activate dimensions here on the options bar. So for me, this was like really bad thing for the usability, because I had to do many extra clicks for nothing. The next thing is that they have added new categories that can be tagged. And for me, the best ones are fascias, because I was using them a lot and I had to use a workaround. Also, slab edges is pretty nice, and model groups, Revit links, and wall sweeps. So this is also pretty cool because you were not able to tag everything in Revit actually. I think that not even now you are able to tag everything, but they have added another categories. Okay, the next new thing and pretty cool thing is that now you can use family type and family and type in conditional formatting in schedules. So let's go to my wall schedule, into my formatting, and if I go to my, let's say, family and type, to my conditional formatting here, and I go with my family and type, let's say equals to basic wall, make it red for me. So now I can use this to be able to create my conditional formatting, which was not possible in the previous versions of Revit. Okay, the next cool thing is the pick new plane. Here under the work plane, set. Previous you had to go with the set work plane and go with the pick a plane. Now they have added the ability to create a shortcut. I have created my own because I was used to use the PP, but the basic one is the PK. So this is also a pretty nice improvement in the usability of the Revit. The next cool thing is that now you can create field regions directly in families, so that you do not have to use the detail items family to be able to do that. So let's go here into my door family. And let's go to my reference plane, and let's say I would go with my annotate. You can see that I have a field region here and detail component. Let's go with the field region like this, directly in the 3D family, load it into the project. All right, and now you can see that I have it here. So this is nice improvement. And the next thing, which I like even more, is that they have added new parameter type for the field regions. And that is that if I go to my family and I create a new parameter which will be called pattern, and here under the data type they have added the fill pattern type of parameter. Let's create it an instance. Okay. And now I can use this parameter to control the fill pattern of this field region directly from Revit inside of my family. So if I go here under my edit type, my foreground fill pattern, and here I have associate family parameter, I can go and select my pattern parameter which I have just created. So okay. I will load it into the project. All right. And let's make this a little bit higher so it will be more visible. And now you can see if I select my family, here I have my pattern parameter. And let's change this to be aluminum. Whoop, and you can see that I was able to change it from inside of my project, which is pretty nice. So let's go with the concrete. And I have a concrete here. So I really love this feature. The next thing is that they have created more parameters for groups and links. So if I go here, let's say to these walls, and I create a group from them, let's go with the group 1. Now you can see in previous versions I had only reference level, origin, offset. Now they have added some identity data and also some parameters into my type parameters, and because I can also tag them now, it is more usable for like the informations if you are using model groups, and I was using them quite a lot and I really love this. The next thing is that now you can have in your view filters, if I go to my visibility and graphics, under my filters, edit new, I create a new filter, and here under my categories, I can now choose my wall sweeps for the view filters, so this is also nice. The next thing is that the casework category is now joinable, so you can go with the join command and join casework. The next thing is that they have added additional cuttable categories in Revit, and that is furniture, furniture system, specialty equipment, and plumbing fixtures. You can see this in this example. I have a family here of the furniture, which is family 1. If I go to my elevation here, you can see that it is like 1200 millimeters high. And here my view range is 800 millimeters. But you can see that I do not see it cut, but it is shown in projection. In previous versions, this was the behavior and you couldn't do anything about it. Now they have added the possibility to change it and to make it cuttable. So if I go into my family, here you can see in those parameters of the family furniture, I can go with enable cutting in views. If I select this, load it into my project. Alright, you can see that now the family is being cut. They have also made improvements for the select all instances, so now you can use it with the openings, parts, scope boxes, and curtain systems. Okay, now let's talk about the better layout possibilities on the sheets. So if I go to the sheet here, and let's say that I have my view here and I want to change it. And in previous versions I had to delete it and recreate it, but now what I can do is just select the sheet and here swap the view for other view, which is available and usable, and I can just go like this and swap it. So this is also pretty nice. The next cool thing is that in my viewport, under my edit types, I have the preset title position. So this is my title. And you can see that now it is being fixed here. If I undo this and I change, it will change with the viewport. And let's go back. But if I set it to preserve, you can see that if I change, the position of the view title remains the same. This is also nice. And the last thing of those is that you can go right click the view title and go with the move align to sheet, and this will move the viewport from one sheet to another sheet, and it will remain the same position or retain the same position as on the previous sheet. So this is also a nice feature. Okay, the next thing is that now you can enable cutting of imported CAD geometry directly in Revit. So if you linked, I have my drawing here, the DVG file. Let's go into my 3D view. It looks something like this. I have linked it directly into my Revit and I want it to be cut. Now I can see it in a projection only. And in previous versions, you couldn't do anything about it. You had to like import it into the family, which was cuttable, and then you could cut it. But they have added the possibility to enable cutting of the imported CAD geometry. Here you can see this new parameter, and if I enable it, now it is being shown cut. Uncheck, it is in the projection. The next thing, if I go to my section view here, is that let's create a new reference plane. It has to be horizontal one and it has to be named. But if I have created a new reference plane that is horizontal and it is named, if I am linking my CAD file and I am using the not current view only but the place at in the 3D, you can see that now I can choose my reference plane as well as the levels. The next thing is that the displace elements can be now used also in 2D. So if I go into my modify, and let's say I select, I don't know, this 3, and I go with my displace elements, you can see that I can do something like this. Let's add a path here. Okay, so I can use my display sets as well in 2D as I was able to do this in 3D. The next cool thing is when it comes to key schedules. So I have my my room style schedule here. And let's create another one, which will go like ZZ. Okay. Let's go to my level 1. And let's assign here my second key. So now you can see that those parameters are driven by the key schedule values. So ZZ. And now if I go here and remove this key from the schedule, I will not lose these values. So if I go back to my level 1 and select the room, you can see that those values are still there when I deleted the key from the key schedule. Okay, the next thing is that they say that they improve performance when working in models with large amounts of rooms. So I hope that it is really nice because rooms can be really like power consuming for the Revit. And the last thing I will show you on their new sample file. They actually made a new sample file in Revit 2024, which is quite nice, but I'm not using that. And they have made some news in the settings for the printing, the PDF export. So you can see if I go with my selected view sheets in my selection set, finally they have made it possible to multi-select and unselect, not one by one, and you can edit the print order. If you go here with the edit print order, you can go with the browser organization, sheet numbering, or manual order, and that means that you can just go and let's say I want these to be here, so I can just drag and drop them and change the order as it is. So these were all of the new features from Revit 2024 and 23, which I had to share with you.